Hello, everybody. How are we doing? We are back with another episode of Table Talks to cover episode 5 and 6 of the campaign. With me, we have the wonderful Cass. How are we doing, Cass?
Stop it, you. I'm beat up, my guy. Karate was well, put it this way, me and Eli were out in Glasgow last night. We weren't out, it wasn't a mad one, but it was a good one.
We were at a gig,
had a,
so we
we were
were,
at a
we were
gig.
fairly
We had a
bobbing.
few we were fairly bopped, we had a few swallies, it was good. And then got Eli home safe and sound across the Irish Sea, and then I went to karate. And I was on a winning streak, and then someone had to keep me humble. Otherwise I would have just soared and taken off. You know what I mean? So now I'm just feeling that hours of battle training. But I'm alive and I'm here, and I've got chocolate, and I've got Pepsi Max, and I've got the knowledge that Basil Brush is gender fluid. So I am fucking a-okay, to be honest.
I can't believe that. Like, not only did, like, a couple of weeks ago you find out that Basil Brush is bisexual, we're watching, like, what's it called again?
Takeshi's Castle.
We're watching
like,
Takeshi's Castle last night. I was like, oh, there's another Basil Brush episode. Let's look at it. Basil Brush slings banger after banger after banger about relationship advice, and then like mistakes a guy for a girl, and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm gender fluid.
Mask presenting high camp bisexual gender fluid icon Basil Brush.
Yeah.
I hope he appears in the next episode of the
Basil
campaign.
Brush is absolutely an LGBTQ icon, and no, we will not be taking criticism at this point.
Absolutely fucking not. So I actually had a question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the group. It's not about what happened in the episode, but it's about the group. And it's what either pre-published or other famous campaign would you think it would be really funny to see those 5 dropped into? Bearing in mind that, you know, they obviously don't live on the Sword Coast. They don't live on, you know, in a low tech high magic. They live in a high magitech world. Where do you think would be? Well, put it this way: where do you think would be the funniest, and where do you think would be the most interesting story besides humor?
Okay, so you're talking about like as in D&D bookwise campaign settings.
Yeah, D book wise, I mean, I mean, like, I think a lot of the other streamed campaigns, I don't think they would. But I mean, you could make a case for it. But like, yeah, I'm thinking like modules.
I think something that would be quite interesting. I wouldn't say it would be potentially the best, but I certainly think it would be intriguing. Would be Vox Machina Critical Role campaign 1. I feel like there's a lot of parallels between like between our characters that we've got here and the characters in Vox Machina. Drazian is very much the Vox character. Fucking Kronk and Grog are like 2 complete fucking parallels, and like Lilith very much has Vexalia vibes. So there are a few parallels there that I think could work, but going off like actual D&D campaign settings, I think, just because like I know the entire group would just be like fucking vampires the entire time. Curse of Strahd would just be an experience.
Curse of Strahd, I think, would be like hilarious because I feel like the whole thing with Strahd is you need a cleric or a paladin to pretty much to make it fucking playable without fucking with the book too much. Is that what you would have is like Kyler fucking tryharding it for once. He'd be like, oh, as an undead monster and a great paladin must fucking rise, and everyone would just be fucking monsters the whole time. They'd be like Geraldine Butler would be like Butler, Geraldine
Boulevard.
Boulevard.
I hardly know her.
I hardly know her. Would be like, oh, there's a lich with a library. Let me get some of that. Like,
hold on, let me actually take a look at the full list of. Actually, I'll bring up D&D Beyond because that'll.
I'm looking at like advanced on like old modules. Got like the Lendor Isles and shit. Deep Dwarven Delve is a level 3 to 6 campaign published in 1999.
Okay, so I'm looking at adventures here. We've got Curse of Strahd would like. I just think would be fucking comedic. I just think it would be like being like on LSD and trying to do a complicated roguelike at the same time.
As well, like another thing is just because like obviously we are in a Magitech setting. They'd get them and they'd be like, right, where's the showers?
Yeah.
Why do I not have any signal on on the communication crystal?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Uh,
I think that'd be hilarious in like this shithole.
Horde of the Dragon Queen, I think would be kind of standard. I don't think it would be bad. I think we'd enjoy doing it, and I think we'd make it a good setting. But I don't think it would be the best out of the options that are there.
There's a Cryovane's Revenge is a 5e1 now as well. They retooled it, haven't they?
The Wild Beyond the Witchlight would be fucking hype because it's based in the Feywild. I think that would be excellent. I think that would be fucking excellent. Candlekeep Mysteries could be... Call of the Netherdeep is a new one, which could potentially be... Which would be interesting with Kyler, considering it's based around the whole, like, Lovecraftian monster type things. Descent into Avernus would be a banger. Could you imagine our party going to hell?
Don't have to imagine it, but we fucking live it.
Yeah. Like doing like run-ins with fucking Asmodeus and everything. And like, I think that would be like quite interesting.
Lilith's like, I'm not scared of you, Asmodeus. I worked a minimum fucking wage job,
Yes.
okay? I don't give a shit. Just because it's topical, you've got Divek Nadai as a module.
Yeah.
Like,
do you know what one would work best?
Go on.
As like a setting, Strixhaven, Curriculum of Chaos. Because
Strixhaven would be like the nearest parallel.
Because it's yeah, and I think that's a very purposeful parallel as well. Because I know that like when Mux first put together True Arms, like oh no, Mux had put together True Arms before I'd heard anything about Strixhaven, but then we looked at Strixhaven and was like, this is the same kind of thing we're doing.
Similar vibes.
I think it would be really interesting, because just the way, because I think True Arms is a little bit more chaotic than Strixhaven. Strixhaven comes across as very organized, and there's like different houses and everything that you're a part of. One of them's like based around poetry. It's not in the Harry Potter sense of like being, if you're brave you go this. It's like more it's more of like your interests. So like the creative ones go into... Hold on, let me take a look at it, because this is actually something that'd be interesting to talk about. Strixhaven. The 5 colleges of Strixhaven, because it's based off of Magic the Gathering. So that's what it comes into. So you've got Lorehold, you've got Prismari, you've got Quandrix, you've got Witherbloom, and you've got Silverquill.
Are they based on the colors of Magic?
Yeah, it's essentially.
Yeah, similar differences. Yeah,
similar. So like Lorehold is
that blue?
Lorehold is white and red.
It's white and red. I thought like lore blue was my first thought, but fair enough. I'm gonna Google this as well.
Yeah, Lorehold, the white and red colleges of Archaeomancy, founded by the dragon Velomachus. Lorehold. It's the history department. So its main aim is to uncover artifacts from the past or channel long lost spirits to either provide first-hand accounts of times long gone, or serve as the college's mascots.
Mhm.
It's represented by, like all of Strixhaven's colleges, and this is the part that I really like about their house system. It's represented by two polarizing ideologies, and students are expected over their years of study to find a balance between the two. So, at the heart of Lorehold is the debate between order and chaos. Um, so it's like, is history a reasoned and deliberate pattern of events marching towards an ordered future, or is it a tangled mess of the passions and whims of individual people that will only become more and more chaotic over time? Can you use the past to predict the future, or is the past just another part of an unpredictable story leading into even more inexplicable times? So that's Lorehold. Then you've got Prismari. Um, it is the College of Elemental Arts, and it's where all of Strixhaven's most creative and artistic students work, following in the footsteps of the explosive founder dragon, Galozeth Prismari. Centered in blue and red magic, the central conflict of Prismari is in its dean's individual approaches to art. Uh, uh, Uvilda, Dean of Perfection, believes that art is the culmination of careful study, deliberate strokes, and attention to detail. She values technical skill and delicate work, and is famed for her ability to guide a student's entire artistic career with a single well-constructed piece of critique. Students who follow her tend to create visual masterpieces of ornate sculpture, painting, pottery, and other visual mediums, though some more subtle performances are welcome. On the other hand, Nasari, who's the Dean of Expression, believes art is about channeling raw emotion. Big displays of magical power, bombastic bursts of colour, and light in groundbreaking performances. Nasari represents the red magic to Ulvilda's blue. She more enjoys performance art, dance, and other fleeting displays of creativity. The duration of the piece presented to her doesn't matter, as long as it's straight from the heart. No matter what kind of art a Prismari student produces, their magic concerns itself with elemental forces, water, mist, fire, ice, electricity, and other natural forces are created and redirected, ready to be woven into a painting or burst in the sky as part of a dance. Even music itself is encouraged in Prismari, with the conductor Zafi using his orchestra to create vast storms of thunder and lightning elementals, living embodiments of the forces Prismari manipulates as their mascot. Students at Prismari often specialize in areas such as opusmancy, creating massive works of art, reshaping the earth and lava to make displays through geomancy, or manipulating the concept of beauty itself through aethomancy. Then you've got Quandrix. Quandrix is really interesting, but also really fucking complicated. Because they use magic to study the physical laws that hold together the universe. It's essentially
math is magic.
Yeah.
Math's magic. I actually have a character like that. That I play in ESO, and because Elder Scrolls is a very scuffed universe where the sun is literally where God fucked off from and left the world. Maths is really interesting when it's kind of removed. So I kind of fuck with mathmancy. I don't think it's where Kyler would fit, but I think I personally am intrigued by the concept.
Yeah, because there were a lot of subclasses of different magical specializations were created out of Strixhaven and their houses. So there are math wizards. Which I think is really, really interesting.
Yeah, green blue. I've got one of their cards here. I know it's not D&D, but I think it does kind of sum up the thing. Return target creature, planeswalker. Choose two. Return target creature, planeswalker. Counter target artifact, and put 2+1/1 counters on target creature. And target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library. So yeah, it's a lot of control. It's a lot of making things work.
You know the D&D Magic the Gathering cards that are out at the minute. That's
vaguely. Yeah.
That's based off of Strixhaven. That's what it's from. Which I think is really interesting. So you've got again, Quandrix is green and blue magic used to explore mathematics, physics, geometry, and the origin origin and nature of matter itself. It was founded by Tanazir Quandrix, a gargantuan dragon with large geometric wings. Imagine having like a mandala effect as your wings as a dragon. Because that's what it sounds like. Thanks to focusing on studying and manipulating reality itself, Quandrix is simultaneously the most fantastical and also the most scientifically centered of the 5 colleges. Alongside studying things like complex mathematics and physics, scholars can become experts in abstraction, using magic to bend space, manipulating size as a scale druid or augmenter, or even creating fractal facsimiles of life, Quandrix mascots, as a vivifier. Quandrix's central debate is one of mathematics' oldest. Is maths a real thing inherent to the world that we discover, or is it a language made up by people to understand the world around them? At Strixhaven, this is called the debate of substance and theory, and the 2 deans of Quandrix often disagree on the purpose of their studies.
Seems like all these houses, the deans always disagree, don't they?
Yeah.
You think maybe one of them, they're like, and they get on really well. They have a very similar goal. The students admire the fact that their teachers get on. It's like every fucking college at Strixhaven, or sorry, house at Strixhaven, is like Stanislavski's theater by the end of his career, where like him and his directors are just fucking passing notes through students because they don't want to fucking look at each other.
Yeah, it's the whole like OG Stanislavski versus Chekhov. That's
literally they're like, don't fuck. You go that side, I'll go that side. We don't fucking talk to each other.
But you know what? It's so realistic. Because
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
Because when I was in university, and obviously I did performing arts, same kind of thing as you did, and like one of my lecturers taught Stanislavski, and the other one was very much a Chekhov orientated, and they had 2 separate acting classes. You went to both, and they would be friendly to each other, but you could tell there would be a lot of fundamental disagreements, because like the Stanislavski teacher, her husband was a student of Stanislavski, they lived in Hungary during the fucking USSR, so it's like
I bet you they were pretty fucking hungry as well.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of them. So I quite like that dynamic that they've done it, like taking Rowling's misgivings and like everything out of like that universe. One of the things that always bothered me about it is that like there was a large section of it that didn't feel believable. Whereas like something like this, you can see tones of this people who are writing this have obviously been to university and know what it's like.
These are like workable philosophy. Like, if we take Rowling's own words, because I like for instance like Gryffindor, which is like you might belong in Gryffindor, where dwell the brave at heart. They're daring, nerve, and chivalry. So those first 2 words mean the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
In slightly different contexts, and the third one is just like a code of honor. So it's about being brave is such a broad philosophy that like there's so many ways to be brave, and they kind of do reduce it to being a bit of braggadocio and doing the right thing, except when it comes to the slaves. But like it's such a there's such a wide breadth of a moral spectrum that like doing the right thing can mean like any number of things, and you look at the wording behind like what Slytherins are supposed to be. They're supposed to be ambitious and cunning, and they frame that as a bad thing. They frame that as a bad thing the entire time, because the majority of people that are in Slytherin are arseholes. They're essentially all evil, and it's like they're Nazis. Yeah, like that's the thing as well about like Slytherin is like, oh, they're all ambitious. Okay, fair enough. Except they kind of aren't. Like, we're kind of told, like, this is a tangent, I know, but like, we're told, oh, they're all ambitious, right? But they're all old money because they've got a fucking racial caste system. and none of them show any desire for like political goals or like financial goals or like academic. Like, oh yeah, I really want to be like top of the class and compete with, people academically. The only type of ambition we see is who can be the biggest arse licker for Wizard Nazi.
The one canonical Slytherin that's even mentioned in the books that we see like show ambition is the one that went against the grain, which was Sirius's brother Regulus, who
Yeah,
went and like who went and was like fuck you Voldemort, I'm gonna start taking out your Horcruxes. Like that's ambitious.
that is
That's
ambitious.
ambitious and incredibly based. And I feel that we didn't get like enough balance. We got very much these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, and these are the two houses that don't matter. Which is like, if it was well written, we would get like a kind of good, not good bad, but like opposing moral balance in all of them. And like going back to Strixhaven, that's what I really like, that there's like two opposing ideologies in every single house, which I think is fucking excellent.
I'll swing it back. I'll swing it all the way back to Advanced Dungeons and Intermediate Dragons.
Yeah.
And like our process and stuff. Even though we haven't even touched on the episode, but like
Yeah.
I'll swing it back. So Aristotle puts that there are virtues like justice, generosity, courage, wisdom, honesty.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that they do exist on a spectrum, and that kind of comes back to me. I've not got my necklace on. I was like reaching to like, where's my necklace? It's on the fucking desk. Is that like any of these virtues in too little an amount makes you like, let's take bravery for instance, a really easy one. Courage, he calls it courage. If we take courage, not enough courage, and you're weak-willed, you don't stand up for yourself, you don't do the right thing, you're scared of things, you live your life in fear,
Mm-hmm.
you're an anxious person. Too much, and you're a fucking braggart who has no sense of self-preservation.
Or you're dead.
You're fucking dead. Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like, I think that's a better way. Like, if I was gonna give advice to people for like creating D&D characters, like in terms of backstory and things, the most interesting characters for me to play and for me to watch in any media, especially an improvised media, is don't be like, okay, so I've got this really cool character. He's brave, he's strong, he knows really cool magic. I need a flaw. What's a completely random flaw
Yeah.
I can give him? Do you know what I mean?
See, I don't like agree with like creating characters with the express purpose of, oh, I must have a flaw to stick in here. Like
Exactly.
like
It should be
I don't
like,
think it should, a character creation should not be a checklist.
no.
It should be just a process of like of making a sculpture, of creating something that and I know like this word gets thrown around a lot, but authentic, that feels authentic and believable. Because like, and you and me both learned this from university in acting, is that characters have to feel believable for audience. Even ones that are villainous need to be able to play to the audience, so the audience can like feel a bit
Understand their motives.
understand their motives. And like, I think some of the best written villains are the ones that like audience members feel sympathetic towards. Are like, you know what, I kind of get that. I don't agree with it, but I see why you've gone down
You
this
see,
road.
you see what's led you there, and like that's the thing. Like, for instance, I don't agree with that. Like, so I've got this really virtuous character. Like, let's just say, he's a knight. Like the archetype of a knight, right? Like Lancelot. He is strong, brave, noble, goes on quests, very very gentlemanly to the ladies. Has a weird thing going on with the king, like all that. And then you
They
go,
were
right, well,
roommates.
they were roommates. Oh my god, they were roommates. Like you've made this like archetype, and it's a generally like lawful, neutral, good archetype. And you're like, I need a flaw for this guy. What if I just make him like really racist to half elves? And you're like, well, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Or like, I'm gonna make him an alcoholic. Why?
Now,
Whereas like,
what would make sense for this is I use the same rule for like what multi-classes work. It's something that has to make sense, and something that has to like it's like you're cooking something, and it's like you don't you don't put mushy peas on pizza. It,
No.
it's it's one of those things. It's like that doesn't go there. It's like those flaws do not go with that kind of character. What would go really well is he's really overconfident and fucking arrogant. So
Literally. What I like to do is I like to kind of take traits that are generally positive. Like we would say honesty is generally a positive thing. We'd
mhm,
say that being humorous, having a sense of humor is generally a good thing. And just finding situations where that personality trait isn't appropriate. Like if you have someone who is very capable, for instance, just very capable at what they do. They're a very competent person, generally speaking, and then you put them in
mhm,
a situation where they aren't good at something. You haven't had to invent a reason that they feel upset. They feel upset. If you have a character who's generally quite brave, but find themselves afraid, or conversely, aren't afraid when they should be, you've invented a flaw from virtue. And I think that went into a lot of people's character creation. And that would be my advice if you were making
yeah.
a character.
Like for instance, one of like the most well-rounded comic characters for me that's ever been written is Kyle Reiner, who's the fourth Earth Green Lantern. The reason Kyle Reiner is so excellent and so interesting, and I would argue is the actual best ever Green Lantern. Like Hal's my favorite, but Kyle is the best, and I don't think that's debatable, because Kyle was the only Green Lantern that wasn't fearless. He didn't like Hal had no fear. When he became a Green Lantern, he was a fighter pilot. John Stewart was obviously a military guy, so he had been exposed to that, and like what is characterized as being fearless, and like Guy Gardner is an
An arsehole.
overconfident arsehole. Kyle, when there were no other Green Lanterns left, Kyle was the one that was chosen to wear the ring, and for ages he couldn't understand why, because he was scared. But he had the ability to overcome great fear, and that is what separated him out, and it adds an extra dimension. So like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people see flaws as a negative thing. I don't necessarily think they have to be. I think a flaw can just make a character more well rounded and can just add to their narrative. Like I think with our group we've got like, I think it's safe to say that every single member of the party has their own like specific flaws. And I think that really adds to it. It really humanizes everyone's characters, and makes them a lot more interesting. Like Kronk, for instance, is like, I wouldn't say dumb as a post, but has that like that charming stupidity,
Mm.
is what I would say. It is very oblivious to a lot of things. Is like very single minded and like, hey, I really like wrestling, and I like fighting, and like there's not. I think Chris would say this, would probably say that Kronk is a bit dumb as a post as well, because like he sees Geraldine reading smut books and thinks, oh, she reads books, so she is obviously super intelligent,
Yeah.
and it's like this very simplistic way of viewing things, which is in itself a flaw, but I think it only adds to Kronk's character, makes him so much more interesting.
Yeah, it does. It's like I was just looking because like see the D&D Beyond and like right, look. Far be it from me like to tell someone no, it's not far from me to tell someone what I don't like about what they've done. If it's constructive, like I don't want to just like shit on them, but like the sort of D6 rolling of to find personality traits that are quite vague and
Mm-hmm.
or they're quite vague or they're really specific.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of need to find a balance. Like it's like for instance, uh I am suspicious of strangers and expect the worst of them. You then have to go why?
Yeah.
I think they can be a good jumping off point, but like you
I
shouldn't
mean,
like
that's
oh
like
this
that would be something that would be tied in with Drazian, but like Drazian's is a lot more specific.
yeah.
It's very much, and like actually going into like the sessions, especially episode 6 there, which we just did there on Sunday, which you like kind of observed a lot. You didn't like have as much like
I didn't have
hands
as
on,
much to do. I
but
had Kyler doing something that wasn't really RP heavy or
but
game
the,
mechanic heavy.
but it also like landed you a lot more time just to like focus in on what everyone else was doing and just like listen and take a look at what everyone else was doing. So like Drazian's whole thing where he's having like this like private meeting with a courtesan, and is like, I want to know everything about any Azarian theocracy people that are in this fucking city, because I want to know where I need to be to avoid those cunts. So it's like Drazian is obviously very suspicious of a certain group of people that are associated with a certain group, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why he like a lot of time kind of keeps to himself, and it isn't overly like not overly outgoing, but like doesn't want to draw a huge amount of attention to himself.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be the limelight very much, like
Yeah,
Kronk.
yeah,
Uh, it's just I think what you're right is like it's very easy, at least as an actor, for instance, if I'm playing someone who has a nerve, if I think, I mean, there's two ways of coming at it. There's like knowing the backstory, knowing that, or like because people don't usually think when I was 8 years old, I saw my father give a lollipop to my brother and not me. Like people don't fucking do that. But if you think, okay, they're like this, why are they like it? And then just be that. Do you know what I mean? Like to have in the forefront of my mind, I am suspicious of strangers the whole time. It's kind of weird to have in like the front of my mind. For instance, like Drazian, I don't really want to be in the center of attention. I want to like would lead me to treat people with a certain amount of holding them at distance.
yeah. No, I get you completely.
And that's one of my slight problems with the sort of bullies special prize board style of character creation. Just fucking
So looking at the past two sessions. Obviously, we've had um, it's been a lot focused around the arena and Kronk. Like,
Schwann's gauntlet.
yeah, Zhuan's gauntlet. How does Kyler like feel about this whole thing? Is this something that would be familiar to him? Is there like an equivalent that he would have had back home, or is this like a completely new experience for him?
So the
Is
Tritons.
this like uh some white European going to Spain and seeing the fucking matadors like?
Um, no, not really. It's different. It's different in terms of the context, but well, like the Tritons of uh this world of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons are slightly different to the Tritons of D&D 5e or 4e. They're not in 4e or 3e, 2e or 1e, but they are similar in terms of they're a warrior culture, they are a theocratic culture. They are quite they have quite a lot of like feudal
Mm-hmm.
setup. A lot of the way they set up towns and stuff is similar to Rome. So I think Kyler understands that there is sport and there is definitely blood sport and there's definitely arenas, especially with the kind of ubiquitousness of ubiquity, or ubiquitousness is a word, isn't it? Of adventures and stuff. I think he personally would rather there was less um rubbernecking at it. Like there's people who are like visibly fucking wasted, like yelling at people. But he I mean he doesn't object enough to not bet on it that way. He's like it's not somewhere he would probably choose to spend his time without the Mandem being there.
Yeah.
as evidenced by the fact he was like, right, I've seen Kronk. I've made a bit of money. I'm gonna go make holy water. I'm gonna go kind of get back to what's important, clear my head. But it's not. The concept isn't unfamiliar. It's not as unfamiliar as like if you've never seen bullfighting, going to watch bullfighting. It's more like someone who's only ever been to uh uh like League One English football matches going to an Old Firm game in terms of
Right.
just
Yeah.
so like the
Okay.
same thing is happening, but the mindset is so different and
Yeah.
the spectation is such different. The spectation is such different. The spectators are acting very different.
Yeah. Give me 1 second, because I want to make sure that my door is locked, because I hear someone lightly bang on the front door, and I don't want to
No worries.
get involved with any troublemakers. I'll be back in 1 second.
Oh god, it's just me. So anyway, guys, here's how you make gunpowder. What you're gonna need is saltpeter. No, I won't get Eli. TOS. Yeah. So this is interesting because Eli's back.
I did love.
I was telling everyone how to make gunpowder.
For story writing purposes.
For story purposes, obviously. Anyway, guys, napalm. What's Drazian's reaction? I mean, like, he is from out of town, and he is quite a guy. Again, I mean, just going by his action, like your actions in game, he doesn't give enough of a shit to not go. Like, there's no like moral, like, I disagree with this. You shouldn't be fighting for sport. Like, you should only be fighting for honor and training. Like, it's not like that, but like, does he condone it? Does he enjoy it? Like,
Drazian very much condones it. It's a concept Drazian's familiar with. Except a lot of it were in some of the locations that Drazian has frequented before heading to Aguilane, it's been more of the gladiator style than this kind of wrestling. It's like.
Is it like the Roman Colosseum kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of that. It's more along those kind of lines. No, it's not like a sheer like constant brutality of people will always die in this, but it has been known to happen. And like it's something that Drazian's definitely familiar with. And like Drazian wouldn't if like this if Zwan's gauntlet was like allowed weapons and magic and everything, Drazian wouldn't be against throwing himself into compete, because like Drazian has enough confidence in his ability to go, you know what, I could probably win. And it's like, if like there had been anything but if it wasn't the fact that like one of the beasts that like the betting guy had mentioned was a fucking mother basilisk, if it had been something like slightly lesser than that, Drazian probably would have went in and fought it himself and like killed it. It would be very much something, because like Drazian has like spent the last number of years in this kind of learning how to hunt monsters and in this kind of monster hunting culture, so it's very much something that like Drazian would like absolutely throw himself into arena if he had like all his tools at his disposal. But Drazian's also quite self-preservational, so he's like
not gonna pick a fight you can't win.
Yeah, exactly. He will not pick a fight. He doesn't 100% believe he can win. So it's whereas like
100% believe he can win, or like a reasonable amount.
If Drazian goes into a fight, he knows he can win it. Like
okay,
like that combat session where we were in like the dungeon, like the initiation dungeon, and we came up against like that werebear. Drazian could have sat back at it if Drazian wasn't as wasn't 100% confident he could kill this thing himself, he would have just like sat back and flung Eldritch Blast at the thing himself, because he has plenty of range to like be away from that thing. But Drazian was like, no, I can fucking kick this thing's ass. I can literally wrap my hand around its throat and pump it full of necrotic energy and get it on its knees in fucking no time. So it's like, Drazian knows like the level of power he has like at his fingertips. So if you see Drazian in like a close, like in within physical combat distance fight, that's a fight that you know Drazian can absolutely kill whatever he's going up against.
Fair play.
And he has the ruthlessness to do it. Like, do you remember in episode 5 when we passed like the old lady who like was a big fan of the
yeah, with their fucking QR code tattooed on her.
Yeah, and was like saying about there's something quite special about taking another's life, and Jason was like, she's got a point. It's like if Drazian kills something or someone in the campaign, it won't be the first time that he's done so.
I don't know if that's a question. Who do you think has already killed someone before the story's begun?
I think Lilith has. I think Lilith has definitely killed someone.
I think so.
I think Drazian and Lilith are probably the only ones that have.
Well, you're not right, but like I can tell you're not right. But they're definitely. Kyler's not like killed anyone in cold blood, but he's definitely. Kyler, I think, has a quite an opposite philosophy to Drazian, that like he's not right. He is thick. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Yeah. He is thick, but he's not thick to the point where he doesn't understand there are fights you can't win. That being said, to someone with Kyler's worldview, there are times when that doesn't matter and that he would put himself in harm's way.
Yeah.
If it wasn't suicide to do so. Like, if like, but no, Kyler has. I mean, I don't know if we're ever gonna go like on a rescue. That's what I'm telling you. But the thing, one of the things we carried over from lore, Tritons aren't of the material plane, but not in the way that like elementals aren't of the material plane. They're descendants of a warrior culture who come from the plane of water and the deep waters, and followed monsters through that they let escape.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just. I mean, it depends. What do you define as killing someone? Like killing a monster? I think pretty much everyone has killed a monster at this point.
Also, hello, Silvari. Thank you very much for the following, for coming along.
Yo, Silv, what's good, though?
We are talking about like character moralities in relation to like committing murder and such.
Well, no, I don't. Kyle's never murdered anyone.
Yeah.
By the moral or legal definition, not murder. Went up, fucking like out of nowhere. But he's killed a sentient creature. He's killed a sentient creature.
Has Kyler ever been in a war?
It's one of those things, like, has he been in a war? If you define a war as two nations or two states fighting each other,
yeah,
no. But he has been in battles with the theocracy.
Shit!
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you have these religious like, if Kyler thinks someone's a religious whack job,
yeah,
you really are a religious whack job.
Kyler has literally been in combat with Drazian's mortal fucking enemies. Oh my god, this is great.
Because like I was inspired by Caligula declared war on the sea, and I was like, what if the theocracy, like, because like they're like, right, these guys like venerate the deep god.
Yeah.
Who is like the father of Tritons and also the father of monsters under the ocean, like Krakens and shit. Plus is this fucking partisan figure of Jesus crustacean,
Yeah.
and like the rest of the water pantheon are incorporated in. They're like, well, we're the one true religion, so
And
let's
then
go.
you've
Let's go
got
to. So let's go take the fight to the ocean, and you're like, right. It's a great idea, except you've just brought boats to fight people that can breathe underwater.
it's like it's the whole thing as well of like the theocracy are essentially like uh the Catholic Church at its worst times fucking 10 combined with
Yeah.
like every colonizing empire in history. That's the impression that I've got from the theocracy, and that's how I've kind of headcanoned it for Drazian as well. It's like every evil like real and fictional empire, it's that kind of vibes combined with like like religious fanaticism.
Religious colonization, yeah.
Yeah, it's religious colonization. It is essentially the vibes the theocracy give, and like Drazian like will not rest until what he wants to achieve against the theocracy is done. And in his head, it's like, if I have to burn their entire nation to the ground, I will do it. And it's
that's the thing. Like,
because Drazian's seen two big wars. That
two big
like,
wars.
Yeah, one of them is still heavily ongoing because like the place that he came from was Azure City, which is in the Odyssey diarchy, and like in the Odyssey diarchy there are like two like big fucking opposing like factions here. Hold on, let me actually get my notebook out because I can lore dump a bit for anyone watching, with information that Muxlo has actually given me.
Yeah, but no, like, is it a war? It is a war, but in the same way that like the Russo-Japanese War was a war.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty short and pretty one-sided.
Yeah. I get you.
Caligula declared war on the sea. They were like, we've got God on our side. We've got the gods. Let's go and smite the heretics. Oh no, I'm drowning.
Yeah, so you've essentially got the prophecies of the sun, and you've got the Iron Foxes. They're like the two like main factions in the Odyssey diarchy. And like Drazian is, when he left his like home country, where he landed was in Azure City, which is like the capital for the prophecies of the sun. And like has been like involved with the prophecies of the sun, but in more of a, I live in Azure City and I've been attacked by like people trying to get at people in Azure City, and like his mentor is like one of the big war generals in Azure City as well. So it's one of those things where he's been very much involved in wartime, and like there's like a kind of like, yeah, I suppose he has more of a pragmatic view on it, because it's a case of he doesn't want there to be a war, but like he will defend the people he cares about, but by the same token, and it's a very like interesting dynamic, and it's like, which is why there was that whole interaction with him and the shopkeeper who is from the diarchy. Actually get the name of the shopkeeper again. Merrick called the Luxodon, which was like, no matter where you're from, I mean you no harm. I'm like not interested in that whole thing, and like is very much wants the truce to be permanent, but by the same token, if like people from like that opposing faction to where he lives start causing trouble, he will get involved. It's more that kind of thing. So I think like for Drazen, he's seen battling, he's seen and caused death, and it's very much like, as far as Drazian's concerned, and this is going back what I was saying about, like, I don't really think anyone aside from Drazian and Lilith has killed someone. I think that's more what Drazian definitely thinks. I don't think he thinks Kyler has killed anyone. He definitely doesn't think Kronk has, and he definitely doesn't think Geraldine has, because, like, that initial conversation that he did have with Geraldine, and Gerald, and, like, he said, "Why are you helping me?" And it's like, he's very suspicious of someone wanting to do something out of the goodness of their hearts. Like, I don't really trust it.
I think the nearest I can make it is, like, Kyler is a World War II vet, and Drazen is like a Vietnam vet. Like, the war that Kyler was in, it was against a very kind of obviously evil, obviously incompetent, because they declared war on people in the fucking ocean.
Yeah.
Like, army, and it was like, I mean, people died. Like, I mean, you come with siege weapons, like, people are gonna die. But like,
are you saying Kyler is more the Vietnam vet then?
No, I'd say Kyler is probably more the World War, like, because the war was ultimately seen as kind of good and kind of It was definitely victorious.
Okay,
Whereas
no,
Vietnam,
I thought you meant, like, by the one very incompetent side, being the Vietnam War, because that would make sense.
No, but, like, an obviously evil side, an obviously kind of just war. And I'm not saying that the war is not just, but the war seems to be a lot more bitter and a lot more hard fought. Whereas, and I think that's why probably Drazian's perception of it is.
Well, Drazian's first war, the first conflict that he's seen, it was very much evil force, because, spoilers, yeah, it's the theocracy, and it's the reason, the theocracy are the reason that Drazian has fled his home, like, and reluctantly and not necessarily willingly left his home. It is the kind of thing, and there'll be more, like, revealed on that at a later stage.
He's a refugee, essentially.
Essentially, he's essentially like a blow-in that keeps going between places. Like, it was like from where he comes from to Azure City, from Azure City to now here at Tree Arms Academy, and it's just one of those things where he's very much doesn't really feel like he belongs, but, like, Drazian has, like, very single-minded goals, and is like, these people are cool, they seem to be able to hold themselves in combat, but I'm not gonna show my cards to these people, which is why, like, anything that other people have, like, learned about Drazian has been against
Drazian's as well.
It's been completely against Drazian's will. Like, what both Geraldine and Lilith found out, that was information that Drazian did not want to reveal to anyone. But it was kind of, like, forced out of him. But, like,
it is a great dynamic. Like, you know, I'm a wanderer, I'm a lone wolf. It's like, oh, what's that? A dragon? Fuck. Is, like, really funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's really compelling as well. Like, it's kind of like the Mandalorian in a way. We're trying to keep Grogu safe, and I was like, oh, what a cute fucking baby, and I was like, fuck off. I will say this, right? I could be wrong. I'm probably am wrong, because you can go back and check the VODs. However, I don't know that Geraldine has made a single attack roll yet. Just speaking of, like, morality and, like, combat and stuff, and this might be purely incidental, but generally, I don't remember her.
She didn't in session 0. I know that much.
I thought she didn't get there in session. She didn't get to the action because she was far away reading a book in session 0.
No, I think she just, yeah, she didn't get around to making her getting close enough to make her turn, essentially. like to be in range of attacking. I'm not sure if she did in the initiation dungeon. That's something I would actually need to go back and check because I'm not entirely sure.
I'm genuinely not sure. Like, but like, it's been a rare enough occasion that I'm like, oh, maybe that speaks to maybe that speaks to her characterization. Maybe it just speaks to the nature of playing like a bard with inspiration.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That maybe a more
Or it could be a bit of ludo narrative congruence.
Mm-hmm. See, I was thinking it more kind of plays towards like a bard, especially a glamour bard, because like, that doesn't lend itself to as many fuck shit up things as like even other bard subclasses do. Like you've got like College of Whispers and one of my personal favorites, which is like the College of Spirits, which is like very much like one of your like inspiration thingies is that like you roll a dice and like it will like do some effect and you're actually like a ghost storyteller, which I think is like a really fucking interesting way of doing stuff.
Absolutely.
And like they like have access to certain necrotic damage and stuff, which I've always thought is like very very cool concept as a bard. Glamour bards doesn't give you that. Glamour bards don't give you that same level of access to like all I will fuck your shit up type shit. Whereas like even if you look at valor bards, like their inspiration even lends to more stuff in attacks. Like you know how like normal bardic inspiration can't like add to damage rolls. Valor bards can.
Based.
Which I think is like fucking cool. But I think that may be part of it that I don't think Geraldine has as much offensive spells in her arsenal as well, she definitely doesn't have as much offensive spells in her arsenal like, as the likes of Drazian would, because Drazian spells are nearly all offensive. But even compared to Lilith, I'm not exactly sure. It's something that we'd need to check with Kat. But
it is, but like, Kat's not here, so I'm just gonna make shit on now. But I'm gonna speculate.
Me when I purposefully fucking spread misinformation on the internet. Question for you, not necessarily who has killed before, but who do you think would like be able to like willingly like kill someone else, character-wise?
Well, it depends on the context. Because what do you mean by that? It's this case of like, this child will grow up to be Hitler. Can you kill this baby? It is different to, could you kill someone if they had a gun to someone's, or sorry, a crystal blaster to someone's head? Like,
yeah, I think it's more in the context of like, would the character like prefer to like knock out like, I'd say it's just your like basic human villains. Like obviously in this mission we could be going up against this kind of gang more than anything else. They like, from what we know about them, they seem to be this kind of humanoid gang. Do you think anyone will like struggle morally to like go in and kill these guys?
no, I genuinely don't.
I'll be interested to see like if Kronk would.
I think he would. I don't think he'd be happy about it. I don't think he'd relish in it. I don't think any one of them would. Well, I think Lilith, TBQH.
I don't know about relishing in it, but like more the thing of we could have
having a good time.
We could have done this differently. Like I know for Drazian would be like, no, these people have to die.
Well, I think I mean, I can literally only speak for how Kyler would react, and it would be with some degree of sadness that it had to go this way. It's kind of like the old Gandalf thing, like don't be hasty to deal like death and judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some that live that deserve death, and some that are dead that deserve life. Can you give it to both of them? Is probably quite a kind of fundamental belief it has, but like they're posing an active threat to other people, which is a pretty good reason to kill them.
Yeah.
If it'll stop it. Do you know what I mean? Because these people didn't fucking ask for it. It's just, I suppose that'd be his perspective. I think Kronk would realistically tell the difference between. Oh, actually, maybe not. Maybe that is the point. Like, he is a competition fighter.
Yeah. Like, if Kronk actually killed someone, like, if Kronk landed, like, killing blow on a human, or, like, on a mortal, like, I'm on about, like, humanoid races, so, like, I don't want to say civilized races, because that's a whole, like, other political
That's a very
conversation.
racialized term, I guess.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, races that don't live in the more built up city. So, like, say there was, like, so say, like, you came across, like, we were in combat with, like, a human, dwarf, elf, tiefling, whatever, something that's more familiar and less monstrous, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I think this is something that, like, characters typically in D&D will justify this, is if they're, like, fighting a monstrous creature, they don't really see that as, like, killing or murder, whereas, like, if you're, like, going up against, like, a gang of bandits or something, I know there's the meme of, like, you find, like, a locket from, like, the bandit's supposed child on their possession. I think it's that kind of thing. I think Kronk would feel guilty. I think him and Geraldine more than anyone else.
Yeah. It's a case of like what does one mean by guilt? Like I don't think any of them would enjoy the chance to kill people, like for the sake of killing people. Some of them, I think, are more aware of the realities of the world,
Yeah.
having done it before.
I mean, like, more who would be emotionally affected afterwards, I guess.
Emotionally affected. I mean, it depends on who, doesn't it? Like, it's one of those things. Like, it's quite tough to say until you're there.
Because I don't think Drazian would. Like, Drazian would be like, this is the job. And, like, he's saying, I think there would be justification for Drazian. In it. If, like, someone, if, like, he had aimed a shot at like, an enemy and, like, an innocent person caught in the crossfire, I think that would get to him.
Oh yeah. I get you.
But like, if it was, like, the intended target, I don't think Jason would feel bad. He's like, they chose this life. Like, I think he is that very singular mind on this about these guys chose to get involved in something that's going to hurt people, and I can't stand by that, and I will not feel sorry for them. Like, that's very much Drazian's mindset.
Yeah.
And I think Lilith has, like, a kind of similar mindset to that as well. And, like, especially for Drazian, it's like, look, I did this before it got worse, because by taking this person out, I've stopped more people from getting hurt. And I think that's the justification.
I think it's pretty much justification. It's the job of adventurers, ultimately, to fight evil, and evil. To quote that one Witcher comic, sometimes people are the real monsters. Like, when you kill, like, is the thing, when you kill an animal, like, you're right, people, I mean, there's a worrying degree of sentience for some people, like running through a dungeon of kobolds is like committing a war crime ultimately, like you're fucking torching a village. But like I don't know if Kyler can think this deeply about things, but I think that there is more justification to put someone to death who is committing great evil than there is to kill an owl bear that is just kind of living on instinct.
Yeah.
I mean, like, animals shit and eat and fuck, and like, yeah, it's inconvenient and it can be dangerous, but like, there's no moral relation to it really on either side.
Yeah.
Unless you, as the monster hunter, are getting a sixth sense of pleasure out of lengthening something's pain. That's different. But like, if you are the Whiterun guard who used to be an adventurer like you, who was like, I'm gonna like go kill this like werewolf. No, not werewolf. That's a bad example. This dire wolf. Because it's causing trouble. It's almost a non-moral question. It's a case of because those things have no morality or sentience. But then when you get to the point where so this person's committing an evil act that's going to hurt it's going to hurt people and kill people who don't deserve it. Do I then kill someone who deserves it, who doesn't care about other people's lives, to do it? And it can be a difficult line to walk, but I think the party will get it ultimately.
Yeah, like Drazian would have like that similar kind of perspective of like he would feel like if it was like he's obviously done like monster hunting in his time, and is like he like canonically would have felt worse for having to like kill a creature that's like causing trouble and like hurting people than um than like killing a humanoid that's intentionally carrying out evil acts, because it's like this creature's just trying to eat. It's like it sucks, and I have to do this, but I don't feel happy about it. And like he would like do like almost like a last rites to the creature, and like oh, may you find peace in the next life kind of thing. Whereas like if it was like yeah, if it was like a humanoid creature like carrying out evil acts, Drazian would like be straight away like nope, sheesh, and like would like not feel bad at it at all. I'm interested to see how Kronk will eventually react when he finds himself in that situation, because I think potentially out of everyone, Kronk or Geraldine are probably the two that I would think would struggle most with that.
It's I put a character. I don't remember his first name now. There's something Roman. It wasn't Constantine because I was a bit on the nose, but it was one of them. What was it? Who was it? Was it Aurelius? It may have been Aurelius. Aurelius Wolftone was his name. And this was a D&D campaign I played a while ago. And it was a pre-written module. It was Craven's Revenge. Craven's Revenge, or was it Curse of Craven? I'm gonna look up exactly what the module is in case anyone's interested. 2 seconds. I think it's Craven's Revenge. I'm just going for Craven. Craven D&D. Can't find what the module's called. It's Cryovane. He's a white dragon, so he's a frost dragon.
Oh, is it Icewind Dales?
Is that what the one is? Is that what the module's called?
I will tell you now.
Storm King's Thunder.
Oh, it's Storm King. I was thinking it was like Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden.
He says on the wiki here, Cryovane is given as an adult male in Storm King's Thunder.
Oh, Storm King's Thunder, right? Yeah.
And like I was playing this character, and like he tried to look for a non-lethal way to deal with this. Despite, I mean, he had the backstory. It was quite like, you know, half-elf bastard child of a noble, who was brought into the family, fucked things up by experimenting with sorcery and killed everyone on the estate, and you know, all that classic trauma. Crybaby, I was like, how, like, because our DM, he was a wonderful fellow. He was no mux, but he was a wonderful fellow. I played it. It was like Crybaby was like, look, man, I'm just trying to fucking eat. I mean, it was much more emotional and much more heartfelt because, like, basically, got this book of spells and astral projected to his lair because with the people that spoke Draconic, I was like, look, like, can you fuck off? Because I'm gonna have to step in. And he was like, I'm just trying to eat. Like, this is just what I need to do. Or I'm gonna die. So you're gonna have to kill me, or I'm gonna have to keep doing this. And looked for a way out. I looked at like, oh, what could we banish him to the plane of ice? There'd be no like he would same problem. He would starve to death. And it was like the morally right thing to do, but it was almost like it was more morally grey to do that, I think, than kill someone who was willingly creating monsters to hurt people.
Yeah,
it was a very long-winded anecdote, but
no, I
that's
get
kind of
you
how I
because
feel.
I think like if it's a dragon or if it's more of a monstrous creature than humanoid, I think was the kind of point I was trying to make earlier that I just like didn't describe very well. It's like I think characters or even players find it easier as a concept to like kill a monster than like kill a humanoid.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at like most games I've seen, you start killing things that aren't sentient, or that are sentient and are unambiguously evil, like vampires, for instance. There's no fucking morality debate.
I think like morality debates have started a lot more in D&D recently with like with the whole like because like you could come across like a very common early level creature for you to fight and kill as goblins, and it's like will a party try and find a diplomatic solution than just killing the goblins? Because like
That's another reason I like Milestone XP. Because if I was playing an RPG game, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it, more XP, more gold.
Yeah,
Let's fucking go. Like, whereas I think D&D and tabletop games in general have the opportunity, or would have the opportunity to be a more and deep experience. That's the word. Like they've got a chance to be something better than just.
I think Milestone is just like more interesting in general anyway, because it's like it's not like a steady it's not a steady incline. You can get like if you get like a big moment, you'll be like a lot closer to leveling up. But you could essentially like get closer to leveling up by like doing the stuff we've been doing in the past couple of episodes, which are large RP interactions. Like
Yeah, because if there was fucking if 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 there was no like other way of leveling up than killing monsters, a school like True Arms wouldn't have classes. It'd be like, just go fucking kill things until you feel stronger.
yeah.
Whereas like you're right, this way you can kind of get the best of both worlds.
And I think like the way our group is formatted as well, it's not that I think we would ever have a problem doing a significant amount of combat. I just think our group really has a lot of strength in the roleplay aspect.
That's true. I like D&D combat.
I do like D&D combat, and I think it definitely has its place. But where I really get my kicks is the roleplay side of it, is that character side of it, and telling a story. and like I feel our group is primed for that. Like even people that are more new to D&D in our group, I feel have thrived a lot in this environment and have shown a lot more maturity than like a lot of players that I play D&D with. A lot of people that even people that I've DM'd for, that like they are happy for like for Muxlow to do their thing. Go, yeah, this is where we're going with it, and like we just like find things to do along the way, and it's like there's like a level of patience from all the players when like say for instance for you in the last session you didn't really get to do a lot, but like you like have that patience to go, yeah, but there's going to be opportunity in like next session or sessions after
Yeah.
for me to do a lot more. And I feel like with newer players they don't have that patience a lot of the time.
No. No. I
And it's one of the things that's like put me off like wanting to DM again for a while, because like I can't deal with like people being dicks about, but I haven't got to do much this session. I'm like, well, yeah, because I've got something else planned for you. And I think like big picture wise, and you know, like for both the micro and macro, Muxlo has it so well. Muxlo just does
Mux
it
is.
so well.
I've met a lot of DMs. I played like my first game when I was like 14. It was when we were still using 4E. And like he was a wonderful DM. His name was he does a D&D thing as well. His name's Chris. I don't know if he uses his last name. He does, I think. I'm not gonna say it just in case. I'll check.
Yeah.
His name's Chris. Wonderful guy. Probably a one of the top DMs I've ever had. I played with this guy Alex at uni. I've played like one shots. No one not only DMs but runs a campaign like Mux. Do you know what I mean? No one has like just that presence of mind, just that ability to like switch almost genre in a way, like of tone, and no one's combats ever felt so engaging.
Yeah.
Um
I also think as well Mux has the ability and the absolute fucking ballsiness to like do a setting like this, because 5e is really built for like classic high fantasy essentially. For the most part. Yeah, there's like the introduction of gunpowder and stuff, but like
the RPG of Theseus.
yeah. but it's one of those things that like stereotypically it would be like so much easier to just go, yeah, high fantasy setting, you all start in a tavern, go nuts.
If I ever do that, shit me.
Fight a few goblins, Bob's your uncle. I'm like, okay. I've started campaigns in taverns, but I feel like you can always make it more interesting, and like it doesn't have to be your like classical run thing. Mux takes it like way off field. Mux takes it way off field and goes, okay, you know what? Fuck it. What we're gonna do is like Final Fantasy-esque world setting where there's like technology and magic working alongside each other. There's gonna be Magitech / Arcanotech here. It's gonna be essentially a university for adventurers, and I'm just like, this is the coolest campaign setting ever. I'm like,
you know what Mux's worlds remind me of, and I mean this with the highest fucking compliment, is Arctic's entertainment games. Like Dragon Fable, Adventure Quest, Mech Quest kind of games. I don't know if Adventure Call. My name is Falconhoof. I'll be your guide on your quest. No, like I don't know if you've played them, but like just the humor, like the combining of Magitech, the occasional joke. Well, I mean, sometimes in Adventure Quest and Dragon Fable, I guess a bit more occasional, but like the tone just being really engaging, characters being really memorable. I feel like I'm playing the collaborative version of like Dragon Fable or Mech Quest, and I mean that with like the highest degree of compliment possible. Like they're fucking outstanding. I should play them on stream one day, but
it feels like a Final Fantasy game to me. Which
It feels like Final Fantasy. It feels like the best of Dragon Quest. Like, not in terms of setting per se, but, well, that's not true. And not in terms of setting, in terms of, like, the technology and stuff, but, like, the way society is kind of built and the way people speak just has that kind of wit to it. Like, there's never a conversation with, like, an NPC where I'm like, with Mux, where I'm like, well, this person wouldn't be fun to know more about. But, like, I can. Like, it's literally like, that scene where, like, Charlie Chocolate Factory within the fucking Candyland. I'm like, I don't know what to fucking do. But I can't stop it. There's so much shit over here.
Yeah. Which I think is, like, such a rare skill to have, to be able to, like, keep players engaged so much in that, like, for the past few sessions, like, most of the party hasn't done as much to say what Kronk has. Like, Kronk has kind of been the centerpiece of, like,
It is Kronk. It's his Kronk's world. We're just living in it. But, like,
yeah.
I don't mind that. Like,
But, like,
I generally don't.
I feel that, like, we're all really happy in that, because we're all able to do our own things coinciding with that, and it's, even as characters, it feels like authentic and real, that we can just spectate in things and, like, not be overly at the center of the action all the time.
Yeah.
Like I know I, like, had my bits this past episode on episode 6 on Sunday there, but on episode 5, like, I wasn't doing, like, a whole lot at all, but I still, like the most I was doing was, like, placing bets to make money and trying to maximize my earnings. But, like, it was still, like, really, really fun and really enjoyable. Just, like, and I think it's part of the reason why we've not been super pressed to get onto the mission, like, straight away, because we're just enjoying being in the world and what we're doing in the world.
That, and, like, as you say, like, just Mux's ability to, like, craft things and, like, the setting of John's Gauntlet, and, like, it is also, I do, is this not Chris's first full campaign as well?
I think it might be. I know Chris has played D&D before, but I think it's been mostly one shots. I don't think
Mostly one shots.
He's ever played a full campaign before. Or being part of a campaign as such. I know it's Alaska's first ever time playing D&D, and she's doing so fucking well. Like,
it is
exceedingly good.
And it's definitely his first Muxlow campaign, and part of me is like, this is a precious moment. Like, we've had Mux for years. You fucking go nuts, kid. You just shoot for the stars. You, like, have a good time.
Yeah.
We'll get back to the main plot. You go do a side quest. We'll get money off it. We'll just get rich off your success.
Because, like,
and, like, yeah, there's been fun moments, like, for everyone. It hasn't felt like, and now we focus exclusively on Kronk. You guys are watching, and, like, I did do a lot of watching, but that was kind of, like, by my own choice. I was like, I want to do something that's going to be useful in future sessions. I can't take myself out of it. Just observe. Just let other dynamics take place. But yeah, sorry, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
I was, especially last session, I was really impressed with like what Alaska did, because, like, obviously some of it came down to me rolling well enough to see the ring, but, like, they could have played that off as, got it from, like, one of the guys at the bar or something, or, like, played it, I had it earlier, or don't really want to tell you. But, like, they went full on into the whole, we all have our secrets, don't we, Drazy? And I'm, like, kind of forced my hand, because, like, I didn't throw a massive bone. I threw a little bone just to see how she would react. And she just
went nuclear.
She just went and fucking grabbed it and, like, set it up so well for us to have this really engaging character interaction. And like, she was saying to me afterwards, because, like, Alaska and me, like, spoke after the session for a bit, and she was, like, saying, I really loved doing that. I really love that. Was probably my first big, like, kind of role play moment in the campaign so far, and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, you did so well. I'm more than happy for us to have more interactions like that, because I enjoyed that so much. And, like, that and the interactions that Drazian had with Geraldine, I think, have been really, really interesting, and they've been really compelling for me to take part in them. Like, I don't know what it's been like to observe them, but like as far as like taking part in them, I've got such a kick out of doing it. It's been so much fun.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Um, I'm excited. I'm excited for us to do more group stuff and more meet new people, do more combat.
I'm excited for this mission.
Say for this mission, given IRL, don't know how it's gonna go, but we'll see.
I'll see. We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. We'll figure it out. Maybe we do maybe we just split the party and we have like two like how there's like an A plot and a B plot and a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like I go, and now we join this group and this group, and like it just but like it's running concurrently.
To be fair, like I think with this mission, I know like Chris said on Sunday, was like, yeah, Kronk would just go in there and punch things anyway, so it's fine. You do whatever you guys are going to do. So I don't foresee there being like a problem doing that, because like Mux could literally do like Kronk stuff anyway, so that's like fine.
Well, if it's like an anime arc where like all the heroes get split up and like they each have a villain, and it's like a villain that plays into their like backstory and stuff. Like, and this is the technical battle, and this is the two most powerful women, and this is like Renora Zoro versus the best sword fight, like that.
Yeah.
I think I'd love that. I'm not even kidding. Like, I think I'd love an anime style fucking villain, like like the Tower of Heaven arc,
yes,
with like all the mini bosses, like literally like that.
Yeah,
like that'd be fucking hilarious.
It was kind of the same in like the Alvarez Empire arc as well. In Fairy Tail, because like obviously like Jalal and Urza fighting was it like a shade of Simon or something?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Which was like hype as fuck.
Or pretty much any Demon Slayer arc.
Yeah.
Like, I think that'd be pretty hype.
Give me 2 seconds because I just need to pop to Louis so you can keep chat.
No worries. Who would I'm gonna dream this up then. I'm gonna dream this up. Who would everyone fight? Kyler has got to be somebody who doesn't like. It could be like a spearman. So like a 1v1 like spear competition, like Trident versus Spear, or Trident like a polearm fight. And it would end with like Kyler doing the Chidori smite where he like fucking dry and goes. Geraldine, I would want Geraldine to go through like if I was writing this like an or like that kind of arc. Geraldine would have to fight a physical challenge. It's like something physical to overcome, like something she couldn't talk about. She got to punch her way out of this one, and it's pretty tough for her to do so because it's not the kind of person she is. She is typically a a demure. What's the word? A demure kind of princessy archetype. Who's like a bard. She's like, so I'd have her doing that. Drazian, someone from the past. It's got to be someone from Drazian's past. Kronk, complete just slog, complete slog, like. And Lilith, I would want Lilith to do like a battle of this, like not just about like there'd be a physical element, but be like a chessboard kind of thing going on, or like an interesting environmental feature. Those would be like the kind of quirky mini boss squads I would have them doing. Does that make sense, guys? Like, if like the party split up, we had to like do like 1v1s because of like scheduling. That would be how I would run it. And then like come together for like the final boss with them all kind of like. So like, this is my thinking. We all get into this den, this castle, this Ibrox, and they have to they all get teleported by like the group teleporter or whatever, like the person with portal magic. I was just explaining who I would make everyone fight. For Drazen, it would definitely be like someone from the past, like in the backstory, to give that like character development. For Kyler, it would be someone who claims godhood, or claims service of another god, and also uses like a kind of spear. So there was like a lot of like combat like that, and you could have like a duel, like a physical.
Mm,
For Geraldine, I would want it to be a physical confrontation because she's not had. We were just saying that. Like I want her to have like a punch up, and like kind of come into her own as a fighter. For Lilith, I want it to be something interesting with the environment. So like there'd be a bit of like analytical thing, like changing gravity or something.
mm-hmm.
And for Kronk, straight up brawl, just straight up fucking fist fight.
See,
It's where the animators would go hype. You know what I mean?
I would really like to see Lilith go up against, like, given like what's happened with Lilith in the last episode, like someone who's like running a brothel that's like not treating the like workers right. So like this kind of like a Jabba the Hutt-esque crime lord type thing. I think that would be really interesting.
It would. I fuck with that.
I think with Drazian, like it would have to be someone from the Theocracy. I would love to see that, or like even if like an evil dragon rider comes out of the woodwork, I think that would be hype. Someone who like besmirches the morals of the Disagiri and everything. I think that would be really, really interesting.
That'd be hype as fuck. I fuck with that extremely.
Well, hello, Scar. Thank you very much for the hydrate.
Yo, Scar was popping though. What's the crack? Yeah, I kind of want it to be a. What's the word? Huh.
Is there like anywhere and I take it you've seen the world map as well, yeah?
I have, yeah.
Is there anywhere in the world that you're like excited for the party to explore, or rather that Kyler's excited to see as well?
Kyler's excited to see everywhere. Like I think he like it's such a bullshit cop out answer, but like genuinely, it is in many ways playing someone who has never experienced the world before. Quite literally, this is a whole new world. Da, da, da. I thought that was fuck. I can only think of Under the Sea from Little Mermaid and the Daughters of Triton, but that's not really what I'm thinking of. Kiss the girl. Kiss the girl. I don't know. It is actually like a first time above the waves. Well, not first time, but like first time for an extended period of time above the waves.
Yeah.
Me, I'd like to go to the diarchy. I think it'd be fun. Like, it's got this image of like one of them like doing the whole. Just because like I'm in like an anime mood now with like the whole mini boss squad thing. Like, it's like. Like, you know how, like, the Mountain King, like, my name's Naruto Uzumaki, next king of the mountain, believe it. And everyone's gonna have to stop disrespecting me and look up to me.
I'd fuck with that, like, genuinely. Like, I think some of the most interesting things that's gonna happen. Thank you for the stretch, Scar. I think some of the most, like, interesting things that is going to happen is like not necessarily stuff that's going to take place at Tree Arms, because there is stuff that I'm excited to see at Tree Arms. I really want like there to be like almost like a gladiator-esque sports competition, because I want Drazian to compete in that
tournament arc. That's cool.
Yeah, I want a tournament arc. I want a tournament arc where we like go and like compete against other schools and shit. Because like I had this conversation with Mox because I was like, here, does the skill of a sports team that competes against other sports teams? And they were like, yeah. I was like, can I like design us a kit? And like, yeah, sure, why not? And obviously you've seen the kit, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, it made me very hyped because I was like, I wanted an almost like League of Legends style sport. So like, not obviously set at the PCs, but what actually happens in games where like five
Yeah.
combatants go up against five combatants for control of a base. I would love something like that. And like I wouldn't be surprised if Muxo put something like that in it, because like I know like how Muxo loves League and stuff as well, so I think that would be really, really cool.
If anyone was gonna get it done.
Yeah. I think seeing the hierarchy will be interesting. I think the most logical place for us to end up first would probably be Pella, which is the kind of neutral city.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it'll be interesting to see like how Drazian like behaves or like acts in like more familiar surroundings compared to Aghalan. I think for him as a character, something like that. Obviously, in the long term, like seeing Drazian return home with the part, like home with the party, would be like really fucking interesting. I think. Like, I think if if that ever got to be an arc, that would be really fucking cool. But again, it's like a play by ear, see how things go. You know what the indie's like. You can start at one point, think you're going northwest, and end up in Brazil, like so.
You could from certain places in the world end up. But I get your meaning. I get what you mean.
If
Like,
you
yeah, like
if you keep going that way, you will eventually end up in Brazil.
you will. The world is a globe.
Yeah.
What's southeast of Brazil? Like that Ecuador?
Uh, Hold on. Let me actually look. Google Maps. Southeast or southwest of Brazil?
Well, if you're going northwest, you'd have to be southeast.
Uh, Southeast. Technically South Africa.
Stevka? Yeah.
Ecuador is northwest.
Northwest, right. Okay.
So if you were in Ecuador and you kept going northwest, you would eventually end up back in Brazil.
You'd eventually get there. Eventually. You'd really struggle, but you'd get there. It'd be quite cold in some places, but you'd get there. But no, I get what you're saying though. Like you start out thinking one thing is the plan, and
Yeah.
then suddenly
And suddenly it's something completely different. I think that's like fascinating. I think that is something that's really, really interesting to just to see unfold. But yeah, I would like at some point for like Jay-Z to like return home with the party. I think the most immediate thing, or the most like kind of near goal thing that I'm interested to see, is what Geraldine was talking about like taking Drazian to meet her cousin, who's like a Drake Warden. I think that's going to be really interesting, and to see how Azuria interacts with like other dragons and such. I think that's going to be. I think that's going to be something that's going to be quite interesting to see.
I want to fight a kraken before this campaign's done.
Yes.
I want to fight a kraken.
I
I want to hear Mux say release the kraken. I think that's got to be something. Like, you guys can go deal with a kraken, right? And Kaz's like, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? It's fucking kraken. Like, we can't breathe underwater, dickhead. I'm like, it's fine. You'd be grand. Just hold your breath. It's fine.
I want to see. Let's see, where is it? Collections. Where's monsters?
Yeah, what is the CR of a kraken, actually? This is Phil. Phil, my kraken. The kraken makes 3 attacks per turn, each of which can replace with 1 use of fling. Kraken ignores difficult terrain, cannot be reduced speed or restrained by magical effects, and can spend 5 feet of movement to escape. Plus 17 to hit, by the way.
Incredible.
Reach of 30 feet. And it's 3d6 plus 10 bludgeoning damage and grappled with an escape DC of 18.
That's outstanding.
And it's got 10 tentacles, and it can restrain 10 people.
That is fucking fantastic. I've run Krakens before. They're like a CR of 23. What was the thing that the monster that I've used before that I'd love to see? If I can find the damn thing.
The fact it can move 20 feet on land and 60 feet in water is kind of freaky. Imagine seeing this thing just fucking move on land.
That would be a little bit insane. Oh, what's it called? Because it's got the same name as like an ancient Greek titan, I think.
That really doesn't narrow it down. Prometheus,
Yeah.
Helios, Hyperion, Kronos, Rhea. Shall I keep going?
Give me a second. I'll find it because I want to find this because this I think this would be quite cool.
We could probably handle a malformed Kraken, right?
Not at this level. We'd be fucked.
Nah. Yeah, no, but be fine.
It's not the Typhus. Come on, where are you? Because I know what it looks like. I know what it's looked like, but it looks like, but I just can't remember the name of the damn thing. And it's ridiculous. And Typhon. That's what it is.
Typhon.
Typhons are. Hold on, let me. Typhon 5e. They're. Imagine a Hydra, but with about like 50 billion more heads.
Let me see if I can spot it on
I'll read out its stats to you.
Go on.
Strength 24, Dex 10, Con 20, Intelligence 7, Wisdom 12, Charisma 13. Damage immunities, acid and necrotic.
It's only got 1 intelligence less than Kyler.
It's got dark vision, passive regeneration. It's got keen smell. It has advantage on wisdom perception checks that rely on smell. It's got an ability called regeneration. It regains 20 hit points at the start of its turn. If it takes radiant damage, it doesn't function at the start of that effect. That ability doesn't function at the start of the next turn. The Typhon only dies if it starts its turn with 0 hit points and doesn't regenerate. So if you get it to 0 hit points and haven't used radiant damage, it's just gonna fucking regenerate. And like, its attacks are ridiculous, so it's like, it makes 3 attacks, 1 with its flurry of bites, 1 to constrict, and 1 with its maw. Its flurry of bites is a melee weapon attack that's plus 12 to hit, 10 foot reach, and hits for 8d6 plus 7. I believe we have a raid from Distraction.
Do we?
I'm not getting the notification, but I can see it.
Just because you're on your D&D screen, you don't have enable sound or whatever. Chris, get in here.
Hello, Chris, and welcome. Welcome to all the raiders. How are we doing?
Wagwan. Chris, man, hop in a Discord. Let me talk to you.
Yeah, hop in a Discord with us. But yeah, it's got that attack. Then it's got a constrict, so it's like plus 12 to hit, 15 foot reach, 3d6 plus 7 bludgeoning damage, and the target is grappled. The escape is a DC 19. Until this grapple ends, the target is restrained and takes 3d6 plus 7 bludgeoning damage at the start of its turns. The Typhon can have up to 2 creatures restricted. Um, and its maw attack is 12 to plus 12 to hit, 10-foot reach, one target, does 3d12 plus 7 piercing damage, plus 3d12 acid damage. It's fucking ridiculous. I've used one before in the campaign that I ran, and it was such a fun boss to have. They're basically like titanic horrors of writhing flesh and gnashing maws. They slither through the underworld, seeking only to consume. Once the souls of mortal warlords and cruel tyrants, typhons come into being over ages of festering bitterness and rage. Over time, these souls twist into eternally ravenous monstrosities, which rampage through the realm of the dead, consuming souls by the thousands. The underworld remains their prison, though, and most would relish nothing more than to escape and slaughter the living once more. I think that would be like a fucking cool ass shit boss to have.
I agree. Do we have life?
Yes, we
Yo,
have
what's
Chris
up?
and Liana. How are we doing, guys?
What's fucking popping?
Howdy.
Why
Sorry,
are
I
you
had to
dropping
close. Had to close OBS in order to get my camera up. But hey, how's it going? What have you guys been talking about?
You?
We've been talking about
Me?
you, very lovingly, and like talking about like how like the last two sessions have gone. Kronk being Kronk in the arena. How Kronk
It's
would
Kronk's
feel
world.
It
We're
is
just living in
Kronk worlds
it.
and we are side characters. We've been talking about like how we think each of the characters would feel when they eventually kill someone.
If they haven't already.
If they haven't already. We can wager there's about 3 of the party that have. That's what we've kind of come to the conclusion about.
Really? That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So who have you come to the conclusion that have killed real people before?
Well, both Cass and me have confirmed that both Drazian and Kyler have, and we think Lilith has definitely killed someone.
He had it coming. He had it coming.
Oh, Lilith has almost certainly killed somebody.
Yeah.
You see that terrifying person?
Drazian's been
I'm
involved
surprised.
in 2 wars, like, so Drazian has definitely killed
Wars.
people.
Gee whiz.
World Wars and one World Cup.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised that Cass, your character, has killed someone. I wouldn't have guessed it by their demeanor.
Well, Kyler is from a warrior culture. That's the thing, and the
Oh,
world. I mean, right. I supposed to Eli. I was going to say I'm supposed to Tracy. I haven't. Tracy doesn't know, but the theocracy are a bunch of religious whack jobs, and if Kyler thinks that's the case, they really must be.
oh, for
They're
sure.
They're like the Spanish Inquisition meets the British Empire meets
no.
like every and like.
And what's really funny is that they happen to be Drazian's sworn enemies as well, and Kyler's already killed some of them, so like
Because
Oh,
yeah,
that's
wonderful.
going to open up some really cool avenues, which I'm very excited
because
about.
because what they did was I don't know if you know Roman history, but there's a guy called Caligula. He was, by all accounts, he invited a lot of Christians to his parties, and he was nuts, and he declared war on Poseidon. And I was inspired by that historical event. And
That's
so
very interesting.
Because he essentially sent like soldiers onto like the shore to start stabbing the ocean.
And they came back with seashells and fish as trophies.
That's hilarious.
And so I was like, yeah, the theocracy, if someone could do that in real life, the theocracy 100% thought, oh, they're worshipping the sea pantheon.
Mhm.
Let's go deal with them. But the thing is, you can't invade the ocean if you can't breathe underwater. So,
Of course, yeah.
so it just went about as well as you could expect. And also, has Kylo killed? I don't know. Kylo's killed people like land walkers. He's never killed like anyone who is native to the ocean. I'll say that. But like he has been involved in a war, just a very different war to how most experienced it on land, because it's really hard to fight a war when you guys are stuck on boats and people can swim at like really fast speeds and breathe
That's actually
underwater.
that's something that I haven't really considered, for like Kronk's character is like the reaction to like killing somebody for the first time because Kronk does a lot of fighting obviously and has been in situations where he's obviously badly injured people before, that's the name of the game. And then we were in the dungeon that turned out to just be a fake little
Mm-hmm.
storage box or whatever that is where we killed people but they weren't real,
Yeah.
so does it really matter?
See,
But
we were talking about this, and like I was saying that like the person that I'm most interested to see their reaction, like because we're obviously going up against this like bandit gang. If Kronk lands a killing blow on one of them, what's Kronk's reaction is going to be like? Is
really,
something that I'm really interested to see because of Kronk's demeanor. Like he's primarily an entertainment fighter, and like I didn't think that Kronk had like ever killed someone before, so like what's Kronk's reaction? Because like it's different when you're fighting monsters or like I feel like with both D&D players and characters there's like this kind of split between killing monstrous creatures or like monstrous races, so what are considered monstrous races, so like bugbears or non-humanoid races, shall we say, to actually killing someone from a humanoid race. Like
Mhm.
I don't think Kronk would like be too wouldn't beat himself too much up about like killing like a dire wolf or something like that. But when it comes to like a bandit member who like looks a lot more like a person, like I don't know how like the guilt and like the conscience will play towards Kronk. So that was something that we were like really interested to see how that plays out.
That's interesting. Maybe Kronk as a character really tries to go and only deal non-lethal damage.
Uh huh.
And
Maybe
then you're
that's
with
something.
this crew.
You're right. Drazian walks up. No survivors.
Yes.
Burn
Kronk's
his
like,
heart out.
It's like the
what do you
whole
mean?
it's the whole scene in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Chest. So what do we do with the survivors? There are no survivors.
Oh my goodness.
Because like in
That's
that aspect,
interesting.
Drazian is fairly ruthless. Because like and we were talking about this, we were saying that Drazian's whole mindset on this is if someone is out there committing evil acts that are going to like harm innocent people, Drazian will take out the problem. Drazian will be like killing this person will stop them from killing a lot of innocent people or harming a lot of innocent people. So there's a lot of justification behind it, and he's done it before. So he's like, yeah, this is the job. This is what needs to be done, and I'm not going to feel bad for someone that's actively going out there to hurt people. So
It's interesting. What's interesting is I had an inkling for a second when you guys were placing your bets on the fight. I thought for a second you guys were gonna potentially try to interfere. Specifically you, Eli. I thought you were maybe gonna try to subtly interfere in the fight. And I had like something prepared for Kronk if you were gonna try to interfere. And it was it was not going to be a friendly interaction, I'll say specifically.
See,
And
it's funny you should say that because Casimir was talking about this at the start about how both Kyler and Drazian feel about the whole arena thing. And Drazian is used to like this arena type environment, but on a more brutal level. Like it's why he was asking about like using weapons and magic in the arena because in the two places that he's come from, that kind of like Roman gladiator Colosseum type thing is something that does take place. And although a lot of it is non-lethal, accidents do happen. But he's very much like in relation to that. He's very much got a code of honor in relation to this. If like it's his boy, and his boy needs help in the ring, he will absolutely intervene. But like as far as like the sanctity of the arena goes, Drazen wouldn't interfere. Like even to like make more money for himself because like he is a very honorable character. So like as much as like he like really needed the extra cash, he was very much he's got this a lot of pride and code of honor in like because of where he comes from and everything. So like interfering with a fight like that isn't something that he would do.
That's very interesting. It's interesting to separate the viewpoints of the person playing and the character themselves. Like, I obviously know you got a whole ass dragon in your backpack,
Yeah.
and the difference between that, I was just thinking about that yesterday when I was like hopping in the shower. I was thinking about you and just how oblivious Kronk is to the entire situation. And I was thinking about the fact that you would probably have to roll to try to persuade Kronk that you had a dragon in your backpack because of how oblivious he is to the entire situation.
That's so
Like
funny.
he would like he'd be like, "Oh no, I think that's probably some kind of silly illusion. You know, Dre, he's always catching some kind of funny thing out his hand." Like he would not, he would just
That's so funny. I'm just imagining even when it gets revealed to Kronk for ages, like you'll see Azuria throughout the campaign, and we'll just think that this is like an ongoing shtick that Jeresian's keeping up,
This
just
is
to
a
like
big
try
joke,
and
yeah.
eventually get you to admit that you think it's an actual dragon, and he'll turn around and make it disappear.
It's like, oh, what is that? Prestidigitation? I don't know much about magic. What is that? It's got to be some kind of, it's something, right? Even the dragon grows up, incinerates 3 people at once. That was a pretty good trick there. I gotta figure out how we did that one. I gotta figure out how that one worked.
Ever since just the voice has become a thing. I don't know if you've watched it, but it just reminds me of the Big Les show. Like
No,
Sassy
no, I haven't.
Sassy the Sasquatch from the Big Les show. I'll send you some clips, but like
All
it
right,
just reminds me of
excellent.
him. He's a
I
he's a Sasquatch, so he's a Bigfoot that does a
Mhm.
shitload of drugs. And he's got like this really like and he's like, "What are you talking about? Oh, this fuck he's like, "Oh, you fucking drugger."
See, it reminds me a
That's
lot
incredible.
of Grog from Critical Role, who's like a Goliath barbarian. He has like that same
Really?
kind of like a simplistic way of looking at everything, and who has competed in arenas and has that same kind of
Really?
accent as well, and who's like a bold, like really fucking tall Goliath.
That's I've always wanted to watch Critical Role, but I never have. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, no originality in the world, I guess, right?
Yeah, but
I
like
actually,
I think those parallels are really really interesting because like you said, you've obviously never seen Critical Role, but you've come up
yeah,
with this like really interesting character archetype, and like you've gone with this new voice, which is like quite reminiscent of Grog as well, and like I think those parallels are obviously very interesting because we were talking about like what other like campaigns, either D&D streams that we've seen or like actual D&D books that we think the party could actually fit well enough into, and I was saying campaign 1 of Critical Role because like there's a lot
yeah.
of parallels because Drazian's very like Vax from that, Lilith is very like Vex from that, and like Kronk is very much like Grog in that as well, so there's like
Oh, nice.
there's like these interesting parallels that just like make it like really really interesting to see, and I think like it's felt ever since you've changed the accent, it's felt more in depth, and like
I like it a lot. I was talking to Alaska about it the other day, and I was like, I think it adds another layer, and it feels more right. Like, I've been making more tweaks to the character as time goes on. I re-rolled a lot of the stats before the big fight because I was like, I don't like how my strength stat fits into my character. I feel like when I was in the little pocket dimension dungeon we did, I was like, I don't want to use a quarterstaff and for somebody else to have a higher strength stat than me,
I mean,
or
what is your
like
strength
by a
stat,
lot, you know. I was like, I that doesn't make sense. I want me to have at least something comparable. I don't want me to have like
yeah.
a +1. And so it was like, let me re-roll this. I don't need to have 10 charisma, 10 intelligence. That's not how I've been playing this. You know, re-roll that stuff. I got on a call with Mux and I re-rolled everything there and I re-rolled some feats that I took. And then I just messaged Mux, I think a couple of days ago about some kind of feat that we could add to this particular monk skill tree that he kind of custom created for me to be very wrestler-esque,
Mm-hmm.
to see if we can get something involving like reversals. Because if you remember, when the monks have a standard, you can deflect a ranged attack, and you could try to catch it and return it using a key point. And so I was wondering if I could do that with a melee attack. And so he's going to try to take something from a different class, modify it so it's less powerful, see if we can do that. Because reversals are a super common thing in fighting and wrestling. So it would make sense for Kronk to have something like that. So I'm excited to build the character even more, make it make more sense, potentially fill out some backstory, potentially to fit in with somebody else's. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be very, very cool indeed. And I think, like, the more I see of Kronk, the more I fall in love with him as a character. I just think he's
Yeah.
so interesting, and like, just his whole viewpoint and like his whole like excitable personality. I like the whole thing where he like sees this like cool cape that this villain has. Like, I want one of those. I'm like,
Yeah, I love it being just very straightforward.
mm,
Gotta have this himbo self insert, you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. I think it's also really funny that like Cass is basically the only person not playing a self-insert character here.
I'm not, because I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just well adjusted or a good actor, or I don't know.
It didn't start originally being a self insert,
Mm.
really, but it just was like an exaggeration of a lot of things that I liked. You know what I mean? But sometimes you just end up filling in the blanks on a couple things, and it just ends up. I've had some ideas about, potentially tragic backstory for Kronk because I don't really have a lot of ideas for anything. It was just kind of here's this character, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, now we're committed. I got to try to do something. You know
You know,
what
it'd
I
be
mean?
really subversive if he came from like a totally normal family. Like, he's just like that. Like, they were like, yeah, we support our child. Yeah, man, you go down among the smooth skins and you make a living for yourself. We'll support you 100%. And everyone else is like, my parents are dead. You're just
That would
like,
be really funny.
yeah.
Is that everybody else's? Does everybody else have like a tragic ass backstory?
Kylo has an emotionally unavailable father and an
You cut out a bit there,
Huh?
Cass.
Kylo has an emotionally unavailable father and a alcoholic mother, but that's just kind of like normal, right?
Drazian's parents aren't dead. Drazian's parents are alive, but separated from his father kind of unwillingly, and like his grandfather has died, who was very close with, and that's like a very big factor in Drazian's backstory as well, and like obviously like the whole thing that got brought up last session with the Izarian theocracy, like they're people that Drazian very much doesn't like, and like are very much central to his family's woes. So it's like it's not the like edgiest back. It's not the most edgy backstory that I've done, but it's still a
It's
little bit
not by
edgy.
the most edgy backstory you've done by a long fucking shot. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah. Drac is probably the most edgy one, where like he accidentally unleashes this like evil Lovecraftian style god on his home, who wipes out everyone on the island that he's living in and raises them as zombies, and Drac has to go and like mow down everyone that the majority of people that he's ever met in his entire life because they're now evil
Oh my!
zombies.
Drac makes like fucking 11 from Stranger Things look like Mamma Mia. Like,
But he's one of the most compelling characters I've ever written. But he's like got this very like emotionally traumatic stuff that like emotionally traumatic stuff keep happening to him, and it's like, well, fuck.
the years start coming and they don't. I linked you some Sassy the Sasquatch stuff as well there, Chris. I hope you enjoy
I
it.
I see the tags. I'm excited to check them out.
I'm gonna show the big last show. It's a fucking series entirely animated in Microsoft Paint.
Oh my god,
That's
dude.
incredible.
It is, and like it's the adventures of a guy in the fictional country of Australia who has very bizarre neighbors, and they get high all the time. It's great.
I feel like if I just give a normal non-tragic backstory, because that was the original idea, was that supportive stuff. I feel like Mux is just gonna break all our hearts, right? Mux is just gonna shatter us, right? Like
Look at the flowers, Lenny. Like, look at the flowers, George. Like, will you let me play with the rabbits, Kyler?
I'll
Fucking
take care of the
hell.
rabbits.
oh.
See, like, I like having, like, I don't think there's many characters. I don't think there's any non-meme characters that I've made that don't have a tragic backstory. The one like the one character that I've played in D&D who doesn't have like some kind of like traumatic tragic backstory, it has got to be when I like made a D&D version of Rick O'Connell from The Mummy.
Yo, that goes crazy.
Yeah,
That goes hard.
Drixaric O'Canela is a gunslinger with the archaeology background.
That's awesome. I love that.
And he's so much fun. He's literally just like a meme character that I've played, and he's just like very enjoyable to like not do anything serious with. But like if I don't have like a big emotional weight behind the character, I find it more difficult to play them. Cause like emotional stories is what compels me to like project a characterization onto something. So like while Drazian has his like wittiness and like lightheartedness at times, he's still got that element of more like emotional depth at times as well, which it kind of balances it out. And as like the campaign goes on, it'll when he like warms up to the rest of the party a bit more, that like emotional lightheartedness will show a little bit more.
I'm with you. I guess. Oh, sorry.
No. I just had an idea about some kind of class feat that I could float to Mux about how it could be just like more entwined with like wrestling based stuff. So I'm gonna write it down and see if I can float it to him.
Hell yeah.
What was
What if it was like I see when I can't sleep, I read TV tropes articles. That's how I sleep. Like,
Oh, dude, I love that site.
I love reading TV tropes articles. I've like read I've read whole pages, like whole like franchise pages, like Naruto, and like Stranger Things back when season 3 was out, and like whole like TV tropes pages, like, and I guess that's why like I part of me's like almost averse at this point. Like the first character I ever played in D&D was in D&D 4e. He was a sword mage, called Theron. He was a high elf, who'd lived with a turtle who was called Shen. He was taken from Shenzhen, so he was a giant turtle, and that was his mount. And he like wandered over the place like as a wandering sword fighter with the edgy backstory. And like the longer I've gone on playing D&D, with a brief dip in uni because I was very depressed, the character backstories have generally kind of gotten less horrific and more kind of like, what can I do to make them like that? Like if my character is like Kyler, what upbringing did Kyler have to make Kyler like that? And I think, I mean, like, it's one of those things, like, if you're playing a light-hearted character, unless it's very much a mask, they can't have a horrendously tragic backstory. Like, some bad things could happen, obviously, but like they can't be like, I was forced to drink my father's blood at knife point into the black sacrament, of the Assassin's Guild when I was but a youth of 2.5 years old. Like, you can't really be denying that.
Jesus.
I think one of the most interesting characters you've like come up with, Cass, is Quinn. Like,
Quinn.
I have so much time for Quinn. He's my boy, and I just love him so much.
I love Quinn. Quinn is he's Pathfinder character. He began life as, and he was a swashbuckler. And he was right. So playing a swashbuckler, and I rolled all my stats, and I was like, oh, this pirate archetype pretty much can't swim because of how the stats. So I was like, why would a pirate not be able to swim? And I was like, oh yeah, sky pirates. There we
Hell
go.
yeah.
And then like I wrote a whole culture kind of based on the Romani and other seafaring nations, like certain aspects of like Pacific culture and stuff, and certain aspects of like Romani traveler culture and just travel like Irish traveler culture. And this was for a character I played for 2 weeks just to at first just to kind of add a bit of spice to Muxel's ongoing game. And he did have a tragic backstory, but it was kind of like a very recent tragedy, which I think can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because he was like, that is something like, if you're gonna play a tragic backstory, and this is only my I can only speak from my place of my advice, but it's more fun if the tragedy is recent. If it's because like if someone's like my mom died when I was 7 years old, I'm like, that's great, I just work here. But if someone's like, my mother died 2 days ago, I'd be like, yeah, that's rough, man.
That's how Drake's backstory was done as well. Like the Drake, like because it's quite funny. Chris, you wouldn't know this, but like Drake, Cass's character Quinn, and Drazian are all in my novel that I'm like ongoingly writing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like Drazian and Quinn actually become best friends essentially quite quickly, and the Drazian that you see in that is very like. Is a lot more lighthearted and a lot more witty and like has a lot more bravado, because like the shit that he's dealt with that happened a lot like earlier on in his life, which is like kind of now in this kind of setting for in this kind of setting for Drazian, the like tragic shit has happened like 5 years ago, so it's like it's still quite recent. But like the stage that I write him in the novel, it's like a lot less recent, and he's like dealt with it. Family trauma, completed it, mate.
Completed it. Process my grief, mate. Process my grief. Exactly. He has also around Quinn, who's an absolute fucking crack magnet.
Yeah, basically they get into like frequent bar fights with like racist dwarves who are like very very racist against like elves, because both of them are half elves. And like whenever like a dwarf like calls them a knifey, one of them will swing at the dwarves and get into like a full on fucking brawl, and they will both end up in jail for a night. And it's like,
holy shit!
It's so fun. It's like
I had to get my long rest somehow.
They're essentially a buddy cop dynamic, which I love. And,
oh my god, it's Garnet from Steven Universe. Kids, don't be racist. Like,
and it's very lighthearted, and their dynamic is a lot of fun. Whereas like Drake, like his like trauma stuff has happened like literally
a week
like
ago.
between at the start of what the events that Drake describes at the start of the novel, it's literally he's described the events as they're happened, and like when the bulk of the story takes place is about 6 months afterwards. So it's like it's very very fresh, and like that's where I would definitely agree with Cass that like when these kind of traumatic events have happened to characters, it's only really more effective when it's a lot more recent. It's one of the reasons that I don't find Batman an incredibly compelling character.
I will qualify that. It's only compelling as a conscious motivation.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, I'm going to qualify that. I find Batman a compelling character. Sometimes. When his parents' death is like, he's thinking about it all the time. I'm like, my guy.
That's what I mean.
Go to therapy.
It's
when it's like this happened in your past and it formed your worldview.
Yeah.
I think that can be quite compelling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Let me think of a funny like it's one of those things like there's so many examples, but like I can think of them. Right. Okay. I'm gonna talk about Naruto because it's on my mind. Um, episode 1. I hope I'm not spoiling this like 20-year-old manga for anyone. Episode 1, chapter 1. Uh, Naruto's sensei Iruka takes a giant shuriken in the back because he doesn't see like Naruto as the Nine Tails. He's like, you're not the monster. Like you're Naruto Uzumaki of the village hidden in the leaves. And that informed his worldview because he's like, oh, people do like be. I can get respect, and I
You
can
cut out there
be
a
in.
fair bit, Cass.
Where did I cut out?
After the that formed his worldview.
Yeah, it formed his worldview. He was like, I can be a ninja. I loved by people. I can have a family even if I'm an orphan. But he's not like every day going like, oh, well, as long as Ruka Sensei said that to me back at the start of the story, like in the backstory, like, that's keeping me going. But like, it does inform, like, because like things happen and they change you. I think that's fine. Like, if you lost a parent at a young age, and that means, for instance, you learned quickly how to do household things. Like, this is a really mundane example. Like, you learned how to cook for yourself at a young age because there was no parent at home to look after you. That's a compelling character trait. But if you're like, when I was 5 years old, like that, I'm like, fuck off. Like, actually, just fuck off. Like, fictional characters can be evil and they can be good. It doesn't matter as long as they're not boring.
Yeah, and I think that's something this group has done really well, especially for people that haven't like been overly exposed to D&D. Like, Chris, I know you've done like a couple of one shots, but have you actually ever done like a campaign before?
No, I've watched some campaigns before.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Dimension 20 stuff that Dropout TV does. I've checked out a lot of that stuff.
But you've taken to this like a
Yeah.
horse to water, like especially for a Muxlow campaign, because like Muxlow campaigns are big and epic and like neon lights, and they're
Which
literally
I'm thrilled about. I love it.
It's fucking Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory like level shit of like there's so much shit to go and see and do, and like you in Alaska, like, because I know Alaska's not played D&D at all before. So,
No,
like,
she's much, much fresher than I am. Like, I don't think she's ever checked out, like, she hasn't watched a campaign of anything before. She's like, what's a D6? Like, she doesn't know, like, 1D6 means one die that has six. Like, that wasn't information that she knew before this campaign, you know? Like, it all fresh.
because like you've both taken to it so well for like
Mm-hmm.
for like relative newbies at D&D. You've like you're playing like better than no, I don't like to use the word better, like, because I think there's like different ways and different formats of playing D&D, but
I'm
you've eased into it a lot more, and like have come into your own a lot, and like have had your own spin, and like have really taken the initiative. Little D&D pun for you there.
ah,
Shaking my damn head.
You've really like taken to it, and like that kind of taken the initiative and just really come into your own with it, which you don't get a lot with new players. Sometimes it takes them like maybe
Months.
10 12 sessions to like get into it properly, and you two like took to it straight away. It was so good.
I gotta say, I'm really, really proud of Alaska. Like, they are doing incredibly well at this whole thing. Just like from the first time that they showed up, just to our like session 0, not even filmed, just decked out in like Lilith gear,
Yeah.
if y'all remember. And then our first combat that we did
Yeah.
with like just like didn't really understand like
Mhm.
the area of effect stuff or anything like that. She was like, I don't know what to do. What is this? Help me pick something out. We kind of like ran through like the list
Yeah.
of spells and how that worked. And she was like, Knife Storm, got some ridiculous kills. She was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And from that point on,
I
that
think
was
that's
it.
important as well for like a player to build confidence like early at the start. I think that's one of the reasons that this group is such like a good dynamic group. Like it's
Yeah, for sure.
it's the best group I've ever played a D&D campaign with, because
I'm
we
having a
all compliment
blast,
each
yeah.
other so much, and like the way like if someone isn't sure about something, that they can always ask, or they can bounce off stuff. So it's like whether like they're having a conversation with Mux or me or Cass or like any of the rest of the people in the group, there's always like this like build up of ideas, and like everyone's like really humble and really like patient and understanding with like how things work
Yeah.
as well. So like for instance, like last session, Cass didn't have an awful lot to do. Like Cass essentially made holy water, gave holy water to Kronk and Drazy.
Refuses to elaborate, leaves.
Yeah,
Yeah, I felt pretty bad. I was like, because that's essentially two sessions in a row. Because I know it was essentially the Kronk show.
We were
for a
memeing
bit
about that.
there.
We were memeing about that. We were like, yeah, it's Kronk's world. We're just living in it. But we were like, we kind of are happy. This is we were just kind of like, we thought this was your first campaign, like full campaign, and like
Mhm.
it was definitely your first Muck slow campaign. And
Yeah, that's
I
for
was
sure.
saying, I played with wonderful DMs, fine storytellers, fine actors, lovely people, but my man is just a tier above. And that's not. It's not that I love their campaigns less, but that I love Mux's more.
yeah.
And the
Lux
fact that
goes
like
crazy, yeah.
the fact that you're getting to just like experience it for like the first kind of time, and like
I felt spoiled. I'm not gonna lie.
Like,
I felt
was-
real spoiled.
was wonderful. And we had stuff to do. Like we had moments. Like I gave you heroism. I put bets on, and like there was still a bit of that. But like letting you like kind of take focus for a while was great. Like genuinely, like it was entertaining. I can't speak for how entertaining other people found it. Numbers suggest it went pretty well.
Yeah.
But like I found it was entertaining, and
I mean, I
added a
had
bit
an
of world.
incredible time, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. Like that is
I've
the main
enjoyed
thing.
it so much, and like I think a lot, and this happens a lot with new players or like people that are rookies, even some people that are more experienced that get a bit like egotistical about D&D. It's like if there's a session or a couple of sessions where they're not the absolute focus, they like start throwing a strop about it and not seeing the bigger picture, because like any decent DM will like put that focus, will give you your opportunities and give you your focus, but it's not going to happen every week, because that's just how D&D works. So sometimes
It's a collaborative storytelling game.
it's a collaborative storytelling game, and like sometimes some people will get more focus, and this may happen for a couple of weeks, but like
Right,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I was honestly blown away that I was kind of the first one to have the big like full episode arc. I was like, I thought that there was gonna be some like a big climactic thing with the Geraldine, Lilith, Drazian, and Dragon thing. I thought that was all gonna privately come to a head somewhere and be the focus of an entire episode before Kronk had anything to do with a wrestling thing. I thought we were gonna go on an entire adventure, and then Kronk was gonna do some wrestling. I had no idea it was gonna pop up so early. I was thrilled.
I think the way it played out was like really well as well, because like because I definitely got my moments, and I felt that I was definitely getting a substantial amount of the attention, because like that initial conversation with Geraldine took up like a good chunk of the session, and like I felt I hope I'm not taking too much away from anyone else. And like it was the same. There was that moment with Lilith as well, because they were big character interactions that I didn't foresee happening this early in the campaign, because Drazian was adamant that people weren't going to find out about this shit.
I know.
So
and it flowed so well. I'm blown away how well it just naturally just came together. I'm completely blown away, because I was like, there's no way anybody's gonna. Kronk canonically thinks that Drazian just likes to fuck dragons. Because of the bookstore, he was like, hey, where's all your dragon stuff? Real quiet. And I was like, I don't care. and that was it, right? And that's all Kronk knows about. But everybody else was super nosy, right? and it wormed its way into being this whole intricate thing that's gone across multiple things and has evolved into this whole dragon egg, hatch dragon, shared custody, spider on the wall thing. Like how in the like I'm blown away by how just smoothly everything went off. was crazy.
It's come together so well, and like every piece of information that the others have found out about Drazian has been against Drazian's will. And like I love the reluctant hero trope. Or that whole reluctant friend and relationship trope, because it's just so, oh fuck, I guess I'm stuck here. But that leaves the room for when the bonds properly happen for it to be a lot more impactful, I find, and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed how it's come together so far.
I will say that I think this group feats your best in terms of what your characters, how I perceive it, like are. Because I think in a more self-serving group, don't get me wrong, I think Lilith is a calculating, stone cold bitch, but with a heart of gold. But I think in a more like I'm only in it for myself group, Drazian either would have kept the secret, or the secret would have been weaponized or turned into drama and like, thing like that. Whereas like the whole fact, like, I'm keeping this secret to myself and no one can ever know, and then people just fucking find out, and they're like, oh, that's cool, is really funny to me.
like just the emo kid, like, this will destroy me if it ever gets out, and the two girls like, oh my god, that's so sweet. Oh, aren't you just a sweetheart with your little dragon? Stop it, it's destroying me for this to
Yeah. Now you know my horrible secret. What, you're gay, but I don't care.
It's really interesting for Drazian as well, because like this whole thing of like he second guesses everyone because he's been fucked over so many times before. It's very much a case of like he'll work with the group. He was at the stage at the start where he'll work with the group because it serves his purpose, and he wouldn't do anything to hurt any of them, but he's like, it was strictly business as far as Drazian was concerned. Is like, I need to do this to get here, and like I need this group alive to be able to do these things.
And then he's gonna join a frat with Kyler and Kronk. Like,
and like it's starting to evolve to this thing of, you know what, maybe like I can trust these people. Like that conversation that Drazian has with Geraldine, and he's just like, why are you helping me? And she's like, because I want to make friends. Like, wait, out of the goodness of your heart, what, are you mad? And it's just like this like kind of alien concept to him that he's now, with like how things ended up with Lilith. I was sure to emphasize with like Drazian's body language when he was going up to like do his bet and everything, like after him and Lilith like came back to the gauntlet, that he doesn't really know where he stands with the group now. So it's like he had it that he was this like kind of Liv. He was like the guy that does the heavy spells and shit, but like doesn't have the emotional connection. But now, like, both Geraldine and Lilith have fucking wormed their way into his business, and he's like, oh, for fuck's sake, what am I going to do here? So he's like unsure of how to interact, because like he can be very like charismatic on like a surface level. That's where a lot of his charisma comes from, because the background that he comes from, he was taught very good diplomacy and like very good how to flatter people and how to talk to people, but that was all very surface level. So like that is like the reasoning behind his really high charisma, but on that like deeper emotional level, he has no clue what to do, and he's fucking terrified.
Cass, I have a question for you.
Go on.
At the end of the last episode, there was a perception check that you made.
Yeah, and I missed. Yeah.
And but by no fault of Kyla's by any means, because a dragon made a ridiculous like nat 20 or something, right? Do you wish that you would have made that successfully? Like the dragon would have rolled lower there.
I think it would have been funny.
Yeah.
I think it would have been funny. Like, Kyla go, why do you have a lizard? Like, let me do it. Let's like yo, do you have a lizard, bro? Like, what the heck? Like, and just be like, and then like if thinks it's a dragon, he goes, a dragon, like, dragon, these nuts. No, in fact, a dragon, I've read about them. They're kind of like krakens or like basilisks. Yeah, What do you feed it? Like he would genuinely just be like,
It's like Nessie with wings.
it's like Nessie with wings. The Loch Ness monster, please. I'm gonna phone
Please.
Mux. Should I phone Mux? Be like, oh, Mux might be in bed. Be like, Mux, is the Loch Ness
Mux has
monster?
like stuff to like do tonight, so like.
All right, yeah, I won't bug Mux.
They're
like,
not gonna be available tonight.
Mux, is the Loch Ness monster? Is Nessie canon in the world? Oh, could we meet Nessie? It's like a hippocampus or like a thrashodon. I mean, like, it's cool, I guess.
Con 22.
Nessie Con 20. What if I'm gonna talk. What if Nessie is like a celebrity?
Oh please!
What if
Oh
Nessie's
my
like a celebrity?
Right, if
Like-
there's celebrity adventures, there better be celebrity creatures, and I
So-
want like Nessie to be like sentient and to be able to like have like conversations like telepathic Fungi the dolphin.
Yeah, people go to Nessie to like ask questions, and Nessie, I don't fucking know. And it's got a Scottish accent, so like it'll be like, but like Nessie's in Loch Ness, so it'd be like, it wouldn't be like a Scottish accent like mine. It'd be like, oh, well, I don't really know, dearie. Have you tried going for a wee swim and having a wee think about that? Aye. Do you ken what I'm saying, doll? I think it might be better for you if you just let this one go. Like, I think that's like, oh my god, I'm gonna talk to Mux if we can have celebrity Nessie.
Amazing.
Would in universe Kyler be able to understand the Scottish accent that
Yeah.
Nessie has?
Oh my god, am I gonna be the? Oh well, she's a freshwater creature. They're kind of weird. They don't even have the right to bear tridents.
Right to bear trident.
Amazing. On that note, guys, I think we're going to finish up because we've been going for like 2.5 hours.
Thank you for joining us, Chris.
Yeah, crashed your whole party here, huh?
Oh,
We
you're
wanted you
always
here,
welcome.
but you were
It
strict.
always makes it more. The more people we have on these on Tuesdays, the better, because it means like we have more people to interact with and bounce off and like get as many people as possible's perspective on like how things have gone. So yeah, no, it was really really good to have you.
Do we have a saucy raid target?
My good friend Miss Vampy is streaming some.
Oh yeah, Vampy's on. I was gonna say FNAF. Final Fantasy 14.
Is on Final Fantasy 14, so we'll raid her. But thank you both very much for coming and joining me. Thanks everyone who's tuned in. It's great to have you here. And we will see you on Sunday.
Mwah.
Bye bye.
Oh wait, there's still like a tech down for the raid, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a little tech down. 5.
Sometimes
4,
when I'm lonely, I sit and think about you.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Mox fucking hates ABBA, by the way. That's a fun fact.
I know. It's amazing. We love to see it.
DPS out.
There we go.